What's your full name?
David Gilbert Seidel,
Where are you from?
Tecumseh, Michigan.
How old were you in 2009?
I was 32.
What do you recall about your financial life before the Great Recession?
Well, I was working as a financial advisor leading up to the recession and after the recession. So my career was dependent on, helping people manage their finances. And obviously that was a big deal through the recession.
How did you discover that our nation was facing a severe economic situation?
Well, it became apparent when some of the major banks needed bailing out, and Bear Stearns and some of the major wirehouses were going out of business, and the market was tanking. So it started what we thought was just going to be a housing crisis, or a decline in housing prices, to something much worse.
What happened to your family, friends, and neighbors during the Great Recession?
Well, I know people that lost their jobs. I know people that lost their houses. I know people that walked away from their houses because the value of the house was much lower than the mortgage they had on it. I had clients that lost money, obviously, in the crisis. It impacted everyone I knew.
How did your clients react to the Great Recession?
It depends. I mean, people that were very close to retirement were really nervous, and people that lost their jobs were not sure they were going to find another job. And it's just a lot different situation than it is currently.
Do you feel that the recession or the Great Depression could have been prevented?
I think that it's hard with a market-based economy for recessions in general to be prevented. There's going to be boom times, and inevitably there'll be a recession. And so that's, to me, capitalism is the best of the systems that there are. And you're going to have recessions occasionally that impact us negatively. But overall, and as we've seen with the recovery, capitalism's worked pretty good for us.
What do you believe is our nation's greatest economic concern, and why?
Well, we need growth. GDP growth has been very anemic in the last few years. And so, hopefully we'll see more growth in the next few years.
During the recession...
Oh, another one is the deficit. The deficit and the debt out of control. So hopefully we can rein that in. Growth would help. Also spending cuts with entitlement programs and stuff like that are an issue.
When you first found out that the recession was going on, what were your first feelings and emotions?
Well, I was nervous, and I was worried that I wouldn't make the right decisions for my clients. And of course, I was worried about my own financial situation too. So,
during the recession, was your house in jeopardy?
It wasn't in jeopardy, but I lost a lot of money in terms of the equity that was in the house. And so, because I never lost my job or anything like that, I was fine. But I did lose a lot of money on the equity of my house and investments too.
Were you overly worried about the health of the economy?
Overly worried?
Yeah.
Yeah, worried about it based on what I do for a living, it was the sort of thing I dealt with and thought about every day. And still, anytime you're dealing with investments in the marketplace, you're concerned about what's around the corner.
How has the recession changed you as a person?
Well, I will tell you that as a financial advisor, I am a lot more conservative with my clients around debt on their houses. I want everybody to have a 15-year mortgage instead of a 30-year mortgage, for example, and pay a lot down on their houses. And for my clients that are anywhere near retirement, I'm a lot more conservative. So it has impacted how I think about investments and finances for people, including myself.
What lessons do you think should be learned about the Great Recession?
Well, on the other hand of that is one lesson is even after a massive recession, the market worked itself out, and the U.S. has had even it's hard to believe, but we've had a big recovery since then. So I think that you still have to be optimistic for the future, even though we've gone through some rough times recently. You still should be optimistic on the future of the U.S. and growth.
Thank you very much for speaking with me.
No problem.